Life doesn't get easier because problems stop coming. The difference is how you face them. True strength comes from a mind that is calm, focused, and clear, even when challenges feel overwhelming. When your mind is peaceful, every problem becomes manageable. You start to see solutions instead of obstacles, opportunities instead of setbacks. This isn't about luck or quick fixes. It's about training yourself to stay composed, to think clearly, and to act decisively. The moment you master a peaceful mind, you master your ability to solve any problem that comes your way. Number 1, calm your mind before you think. Never solve problems in panic. When problems appear, the first reaction most people have is emotional. They get anxious, they start imagining the worst, and their mind begins racing in 100 different directions. In that state, no one can think clearly. Every thought feels heavy, every decision feels wrong, and the smallest challenge starts to look impossible. That's why the very first step to solving any problem is to calm your mind before you think. A calm mind sees options that a panicked mind will never notice. When you're calm, your perspective changes. You start seeing the full picture instead of just the pain. You begin to separate what's real from what's exaggerated. You stop fighting the problem and start understanding it. And that understanding is what gives you control. Most people make their biggest mistakes not because they don't have solutions, but because they act in panic. They rush into decisions, say things they don't mean, or quit too early because fear takes over their focus. But when you slow down, when you take a moment to breathe and quiet your thoughts, clarity begins to return. The key to a peaceful mind is not avoiding problems, but learning to face them without emotional chaos. You can't think straight when your heart is racing, when your body is tense, and when your mind is filled with fear or anger. So before you decide, before you speak, before you move, pause. Just pause. That pause doesn't mean weakness. It's strength in motion. It's you saying, I will not let this problem control my emotions. I will control my response. That small pause often separates people who fall apart from those who rise above the challenge. Every great decision begins with stillness. Imagine a lake with waves crashing. It reflects nothing. But when the water settles, you can see clearly. The same is true for your mind. If your thoughts are rushing, you'll only react to what you see on the surface. But if you calm down, you can see the deeper truth beneath the noise. That calm state allows you to think long-term, to evaluate wisely, and to avoid saying or doing something that adds to the problem. Think about how many times in your life you made a decision in anger or frustration, and later wished you had waited. That's the danger of panic. It narrows your view. You start reacting to emotions instead of logic. You interpret everything as an attack, every delay as a failure, and every mistake as the end of the road. But when you quiet your mind, patience enters. You start realizing that every problem, no matter how stressful it feels now, has a way out. It might not be easy, but it's possible. Calmness opens that door. It's easy to be peaceful when life is smooth. True calmness shows when life becomes unpredictable. Anyone can stay balanced when things go right, but the real test is when things start to fall apart. That's when your inner discipline matters most. Calmness is not a gift you are born with. It's a habit you build. You build it by choosing not to react immediately, by controlling your breathing when emotions rise, and by reminding yourself that panic never fixes anything. You see, problems feed on reaction. The more you panic, the more they grow. But when you stay still, they lose power because you are no longer reacting blindly, you are responding thoughtfully. This shift in behavior makes you stronger, smarter, and more confident over time. You stop fearing problems because you know how to handle them. You understand that your emotions are signals, not commands. You acknowledge how you feel, but you don't let those feelings make your choices. That's maturity. Sometimes people confuse calmness with indifference, but they are very different. Being calm doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough to deal with things the right way. You protect your peace so that your decisions are guided by reason, not fear. You think clearly, you act wisely, and you stay consistent even when others are losing control. That's the kind of discipline that changes your entire life. In tough times, your mind is your greatest weapon, but it's also your greatest risk if you don't control it. When your mind is calm, it becomes your ally. You can analyze problems objectively, notice details others miss, and come up with solutions that panic could never create. A calm person doesn't waste energy on what they can't change. They focus their energy where it matters most, on understanding, planning, and acting effectively. If you look at people who consistently make good decisions, Arlen, you'll notice something. They're never in a hurry to respond. They listen more than they speak. They wait until they have enough information. They don't allow emotions to make permanent decisions for temporary feelings. They think slowly and act confidently. That's what calmness gives you. The ability to make choices that build your future, not destroy it. You might not be able to control when problems come, but you can always control how you respond to them. And the response that begins with peace is always stronger than the one that begins with panic. Calmness gives you the upper hand, the mental space to see options, and the patience to choose the best one. It turns obstacles into opportunities because you're not blinded by emotion, you're guided by clarity. So, when you face a problem, remind yourself of this simple truth. You can't fix chaos with more chaos. You can only fix it with peace. Slow down, take a deep breath, and quiet your thoughts. Don't rush the process. Don't react out of fear. The calmer you are, the clearer you think. And the clearer you think, the faster you find solutions. Calmness is not just a mood, it's a strategy. It's the foundation for every strong decision and the beginning of every meaningful solution. Number 2, accept the situation as it is, not as you wish it to be. One of the hardest steps in solving any problem is accepting reality exactly as it is. Most people waste so much time wishing things were different, blaming others, or replaying the past in their heads. But problems don't disappear because we wish they were easier. They start to fade when we stop resisting the truth and face it head on. Acceptance doesn't mean you like what's happening. It means you're ready to deal with it as it is. And that's the only way real progress begins. When something goes wrong, it's natural to feel frustrated or disappointed. But the longer you stay stuck in denial, the more energy you lose. You start fighting against reality instead of working with it. You say things like, "This shouldn't have happened," or "Why me?" But none of those thoughts help you move forward. What helps is saying, "This is where I am. What can I do next?" That single shift in mindset transforms confusion into clarity. You see, problems have a way of exposing the truth. They show you what's working and what's not. But you can't see that truth if you keep pretending things, are fine, or blaming someone else for what's gone wrong. Acceptance gives you the power to see clearly. It stops you from wasting energy on denial, and it directs your focus to solutions. Every time you accept a problem, instead of fighting it, you take back control of your response. Many people think acceptance means giving up, but it's the exact opposite. Giving up means you stop trying. Acceptance means you stop lying to yourself. You stop saying, "It shouldn't be this way," and start saying, "It is this way. Now what can I do about it?" That mindset gives you strength. It puts you in charge again, because no matter how unfair or unexpected something feels, you can't change what happened. You can only change what happens next. When you refuse to accept a situation, emotions take over. You start reacting out of anger, fear, or regret. Those emotions cloud your vision and make the problem bigger than it really is. But when you take a deep breath and say, "This is my reality right now," your emotions begin to settle. You stop arguing with the past and start preparing for the future. That's when your thinking becomes clear enough to find the right path forward. Think about how many people stay stuck in the same place for years simply because they can't accept where they are. They keep saying, "It's not fair," or "It shouldn't have turned out like this." But life doesn't pause for fairness. The truth is, life gives everyone challenges. And the people who rise are those who deal with what? See in front of them instead of wishing for something else. They don't waste time blaming. They use that time planning. They don't look backward. They look inward. Acceptance is the door to peace of mind. The moment you stop fighting what is, you gain energy to improve what can be. You start to see patterns, lessons, and opportunities that were hidden behind your frustration. You begin to understand that every problem, no matter how painful, is also a teacher. And that teacher becomes visible only when you stop complaining and start listening. When you accept the situation as it is, you also stop overreacting to temporary setbacks. You stop thinking in extremes. Instead of saying, "This is the end," you say, "This is a challenge and I can learn from it." That shift turns you from a victim of circumstances into a student of experience. It gives you calmness and control, even when things aren't perfect. And that control helps you make better decisions because you're no longer wasting mental energy on what you can't undo. The truth is, life doesn't always go according to plan. Sometimes things fall apart, sometimes people disappoint you, and sometimes the timing just isn't right. But the quicker you accept that, the quicker you find peace. Because peace doesn't come from perfection. It comes from alignment with reality. When you see things as they are, you can deal with them effectively. You can plan, adjust, and move forward. When you refuse to see things clearly, you stay stuck in frustration. Acceptance also helps you rebuild trust in yourself. When you face a tough moment and acknowledge it honestly, you start believing in your ability to handle life as it comes. You no longer need everything to be perfect to feel calm. You just need clarity. You start realizing that peace isn't the absence of problems. It is the strength to stay steady in the middle of them. And that strength comes from honesty. When you start from a place of truth, your decisions become wiser. You don't rush, you don't exaggerate, and you don't deny. You work with facts, not fantasies. You plan based on what is real, not what you wish were true. That's how problems get solved efficiently. Because when your mind is focused on the truth, your energy goes toward finding solutions, not escaping reality. Every person who has ever turned a setback into success began with acceptance. They faced their circumstances without excuses. They admitted what went wrong, took responsibility, and moved forward. That mindset builds mental toughness. It teaches you that no matter how difficult the situation is, you still have power. The power to respond, to learn, to grow, and to rise above it. So the next time you face a problem, remind yourself that denial delays healing. Resistance wastes energy. Acceptance frees it. The sooner you face things as they are, the sooner you can start changing them. And once you start from a place of calm acceptance, every problem becomes easier to understand, and every step forward feels lighter. That's how peace begins, not in wishing life were different, but in learning how to deal with it exactly as it is. Number 3, separate facts from emotions to see clearly. One of the greatest skills silence gives you is the ability to separate facts from emotions. Most people go through life reacting to how they feel rather than responding to what's true. They let their emotions dictate their words, their actions, and even their beliefs. When that happens, clarity disappears. Decisions made in emotion are often regretted in calmness. Silence, however, gives you that calmness, the mental space to see things as they are, not as your feelings want them to be. When you practice silence, you create distance between the event and your reaction. You stop yourself from being swept away by anger, frustration, or fear. And you begin to ask the most important question: what's really happening here? This simple pause helps you step out of emotional chaos and look at the facts. The truth is, not every disagreement is a personal attack, not every failure means defeat, and not every challenge means you're being punished. But when emotions are loud, you can't see that clearly. Silence lowers the volume of emotion so that truth can speak. Imagine a moment of conflict. Someone says something unfair, or you face unexpected criticism. The first instinct for most people is to defend themselves, explain, or fight back. But when you choose silence, you give yourself power over the situation. You take a step back mentally and emotionally, allowing your thoughts to settle before responding. That short pause can make the difference between escalation and understanding, between regret and wisdom. In silence, you can assess what's the fact, what's my feeling, and what deserves my energy. Silence doesn't mean indifference. It means awareness. It means you're emotionally intelligent enough to know that your initial feelings might not be the full truth. When you take that moment to breathe, to stay quiet, and to think, you start to see patterns you didn't notice before. You realize that sometimes the situation isn't as bad as your emotions make it seem. Sometimes people aren't against you. They're just struggling themselves. Silence gives you the vision to see beyond your own emotional lens. In life, emotional reactions can cost you relationships, opportunities, and peace of mind. Think about how many people destroy something valuable because they spoke or acted too soon. Silence is the discipline that prevents those mistakes. It's not about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering them. You acknowledge what you feel, but you don't let it control what you do. You give yourself permission to observe before you decide. This separation of fact and feeling also strengthens your decision-making. When your emotions are calm, your judgment improves. You stop taking everything personally and start focusing on solutions. You stop exaggerating small problems into big ones. You stop allowing fear or anger to push you into decisions that don't align with your goals. Silence gives you that buffer, a moment to analyze, reflect, and act with clarity rather than reaction. Over time, you begin to notice that your peace no longer depends on how others act or what they say. You don't get easily provoked because you've trained yourself to observe before responding. Silence becomes your filter. It teaches you that not every situation deserves a reaction, and not every emotion deserves to be expressed. Some things are better understood in stillness than in speech. Separating facts from emotions also helps you handle criticism wisely. Instead of feeling attacked, you start evaluating the message itself. Is there something true here I can learn from? If yes, you grow. If no, you let it go. Either way, you stay in control. Silence helps you choose growth over reaction, understanding over ego. The people who thrive in business, relationships, and life are often not the loudest. They're the calmest. They don't rush to judgment or speak from impulse. They take time to think, to observe, to understand. They act from clarity, not confusion. That's the kind of wisdom silence gives you. When you make silence a habit, your emotional balance strengthens. You stop being controlled by mood swings or temporary feelings. You begin to see that emotions are signals, not directions. They tell you something about how you feel, but not necessarily what you should do. Silence lets you translate those emotions into insight. And here's the beautiful part. When you start seeing facts clearly, your peace grows. You stop overreacting to small problems. You stop creating unnecessary conflict. You become more patient, composed, and effective in every area of life. People begin to trust your words because they see that your emotions don't rule you. You rule them. So the next time life tests you, pause. Be silent. Let your emotions settle like dust after a storm, and then look again. You'll notice that the truth becomes visible when the noise fades. Silence gives you the wisdom to respond from strength, not from weakness. And that ability to separate fact from feeling is what allows you to live with calm, confidence, and control no matter what the world throws your way. Number 4, define the real problem, not just its symptoms. Most people never solve their problems because they're too busy fixing the symptoms instead of understanding the cause. They put effort into treating what's visible, but ignore what's creating it underneath. It's like patching cracks on a wall while the foundation is sinking. The cracks will always return until you deal with what's really causing them. That's why clarity begins when you define the real problem, not the surface issue, but the root beneath it. Every challenge you face in life, whether it's financial, emotional, or personal, has layers. The surface layer is what you see, but the real cause often hides beneath your habits, decisions, and beliefs. The mistake most people make is reacting to what's obvious without questioning what's true. When something goes wrong, they immediately look for someone or something to blame. They rush to fix what's in front of them, but never ask why it keeps happening. Until you find the why, the same problem will repeat itself in different forms. For example, someone may say, "I'm always short on money." That's the symptom. But the real problem might be poor spending habits, lack of financial education, or an emotional relationship with money. Another person might say, "People keep walking out of my life." That's the symptom. The real problem could be poor communication, unrealistic expectations, or an unwillingness to listen. Once you define the real issue, the direction toward a solution becomes clear. Without that understanding, you'll stay trapped in a cycle of temporary fixes that bring no lasting peace. Defining the real problem requires honesty, patience, and silence. You have to quiet the noise of frustration and ego long enough to observe yourself. That's hard for many people because it's easier to blame circumstances than to face the truth about your own choices. But the truth is what sets you free. When you stop fighting the symptoms and start investigating the source, you gain control. You stop reacting emotionally and start thinking strategically. When a problem arises, start by asking simple but powerful questions. What exactly happened? Why did it happen? What choices led me here? What's within my control to change? These questions dig beneath the surface and expose the truth you might have been avoiding. Often, the real problem isn't the situation, it's the mindset behind it. It's not the lack of time, it's the lack of priorities. It's not the lack of opportunities, it's the lack of preparation. When you identify that, you can finally begin to fix your life from the inside out instead of just managing symptoms. In relationships, many people argue over small issues, missed calls, forgotten messages, small disagreements, but those are rarely the true problem. The real issue might be feeling undervalued, unheard, or disconnected. Until you identify that emotional root, every new situation becomes another argument about the same unspoken issue. The same applies in business, health, and personal growth. If you keep addressing the visible struggle without uncovering the real cause, progress will always feel temporary. Sometimes, the real problem hides behind excuses. You say, "I can't focus," but maybe the real issue is you're filling your life with distractions. You say, "I'm unlucky," but maybe the truth is you're unprepared when opportunities arrive. You say, "I'm overwhelmed," but maybe you're overcommitted to things that don't matter. These realizations may sting, but they also free you. Because once you know the real problem, you can solve it. Defining the real problem also requires humility. You must be willing to admit that your first interpretation might be wrong. The mind loves to find quick explanations because it wants relief, not reflection. But wisdom takes time. The more patient you are in defining the real problem, the faster you'll grow in life. The person who takes time to understand before acting always moves ahead of the one who acts first and thinks later. True growth begins when you stop asking what went wrong and start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Problems are teachers in disguise. Each one carries a lesson about your habits, your thinking, or your discipline. When you understand that, you begin to approach problems differently. You stop fearing them and start learning from them. You start realizing that every recurring problem is a signal, a pattern, trying to tell you what needs to change. Silence helps in this process because it clears emotional fog. It slows down your mind so you can see connections you couldn't before. It allows you to listen to yourself, to others, to reality. You begin to notice that maybe your problem isn't about people, it's about boundaries. Maybe it's not about luck, it's about discipline. Maybe it's not about time, it's about focus. When you get that level of clarity, life becomes simpler. You stop wasting energy fighting the wrong battles and start investing it where it truly matters. The truth is, most of life's problems aren't meant to break you. They're meant to reveal you. They show you what still needs strength, patience, or understanding. But that discovery only happens when you're honest enough to look beneath the surface. Defining the real problem is like cleaning a window that's been fogged for years. You suddenly see clearly, and once you do, everything begins to change. When you can define the real problem in your life, you unlock wisdom, focus, and peace. You stop jumping from one frustration to another and begin solving things at their roots. So you stop living reactively and start living deliberately. And that's the path to lasting growth, because the person who knows the real problem already holds half the solution. Number 5, break it down into small, solvable steps. Big problems often look impossible simply because we see them all at once. When something feels too heavy to lift, the secret isn't to get stronger instantly. It's to break it into smaller parts that you can handle right now. Most people overwhelm themselves by focusing on the mountain instead of the next step. They stare at how far they need to go and lose motivation before they even begin. But progress doesn't come from panic or perfection. It comes from small, consistent steps taken with a clear mind. When life feels complicated, the smartest thing you can do is simplify it. Every big issue, whether it's financial trouble, a broken relationship, or a personal goal, can be divided into smaller, parts. It's about organizing your challenge into pieces that make sense. For example, if your finances are a mess, the problem isn't "I'm broke." That's too broad. The real question is, where is my money going? Then you can break that question into smaller actions. Track spending, cut unnecessary costs, find new income sources, build a plan. Suddenly the impossible becomes, when you face a big problem, your mind naturally wants a quick solution. But that desire for speed often leads to frustration. You can't fix 10 years of bad habits in a week. You can't rebuild broken trust overnight. You can't lose 50 pounds by skipping one meal. Growth requires patience. Every solution begins with one step, then another and another. The key is momentum. Once you take the first small action, energy starts flowing. The weight of the problem feels lighter because you're no longer frozen. You're moving. The reason breaking things down works so powerfully is because it reduces fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty. When your mind doesn't know where to start, it exaggerates the size of the problem. But once you break it down into small steps, clarity replaces confusion. You can say, "This is what I can do today," and that brings calm. Even if the full picture isn't solved yet, you gain confidence knowing you're in motion. Progress, no matter how small, creates hope, and hope keeps you going. Imagine you have a goal to start a business. The big picture might feel overwhelming: funding, marketing, clients, planning. But when you break it into smaller pieces, research your idea, list what resources you have, learn one new skill this week, connect with one mentor, it starts to make sense. You begin to see that every major achievement is just a series of smaller, consistent actions. Those who succeed are not the ones who figured it all out at once. They're the ones who kept taking small steps while others froze in fear. The same principle applies to personal struggles. When you're emotionally hurt, don't try to get over it all at once. Start by acknowledging the pain, then give yourself time to heal. Set small boundaries and take care of your mental peace day by day. Healing, like success, is built step by step. It's not a straight line. Some days you move forward, some days you rest, but every small step still counts. The only time you truly fail is when you stop moving completely. Breaking a problem down also helps you think logically instead of emotionally. When you write down your challenge and divide it into parts, it removes the panic and adds structure. You start to see what can be done now, what can wait, and what's not even in your control. That kind of clarity transforms chaos into order. It's like turning a storm into a set of instructions. Suddenly, the same problem that once scared you now feels like something you can manage with patience and focus. Small steps don't just build solutions, they build character. Each time you handle a small task, well, you strengthen your discipline and confidence. You prove to yourself that you can handle challenges, even big ones, as long as you take them one at a time. And that self-belief becomes your greatest strength. It's what separates those who keep going from those who give up too soon. When you start small, you also build momentum. One solved piece of the problem gives you the courage to tackle the next. Soon you realize that the problem wasn't as impossible as you thought. It was just unorganized. Every big dream, every major breakthrough, every story of success began with one small decision to start. That's how progress works. You may not see the results immediately, but step by step, something inside you shifts. You grow stronger, wiser, more focused. The truth is, no problem stays unsolved forever when you break it down and stay consistent. Even the hardest challenges lose their power when faced with daily effort. It's not about doing everything perfectly, it's about doing something persistently. You don't need to see the whole staircase, just take the next step that's right in front of you. Each small step builds momentum, and momentum builds transformation. Soon, what once felt impossible becomes part of your story. The story of how you faced a mountain, refused to panic, broke it down into steps, and climbed it piece by piece. That's how peace is built, not by rushing, but by moving steadily, calmly, and intentionally. And when you finally look back, you'll realize the small steps weren't just solving your problem. They were shaping you into someone capable of handling anything that comes next. Number 6, focus on what you can control and let go of the rest. One of the biggest reasons people stay stressed and frustrated is not because they waste their energy on things they can't control. They fight battles they can't win, trying to fix people, situations, or outcomes that are simply beyond their reach. The truth is, the more you try to control everything, the more you lose control of yourself. Peace of mind begins the moment you learn to focus your energy only on what you can influence: your thoughts, your attitude, your actions, and your responses, and release everything else. When life gets tough, it's natural to want to fix everything at once. You want people to behave differently, circumstances to change faster, and results to come immediately. But that kind of thinking drains you. You can't make someone respect you. You can't force opportunities to appear before their time. You can't control what happens around you. But you can control how you show up in the middle of it. That's where real power lives, not in trying to change the world, but in changing the way you respond to it. Every day brings things that test your patience and challenge your peace. Traffic, rude people, bad news, unexpected problems. But you always have a choice. Either react and let those things ruin your mood, or stay calm and respond with clarity. When you choose calmness, you're taking control of yourself, and that's the highest form of control there is. It's not about ignoring problems, it's about handling them from a place of strength instead of panic. People who focus on what they can't control often feel stuck and powerless because they give their energy to things that never change. They talk about the economy, politics, luck, or other people's opinions and end up frustrated because those things are outside their reach. But those who focus on what they can control, their work ethic, mindset, habits, and preparation, start to see progress no matter what's happening around them. That's what separates the peaceful from the restless. When you shift your attention from what's outside to what's inside, something powerful happens. You stop wasting energy on frustration and start using it on growth. Instead of complaining about the job you hate, you start improving your skills. Instead of worrying about what people think, you focus on doing your best. Instead of stressing over how things should be, you work with what is, and little by little, your world changes. Not because everything outside got better, but because you got stronger inside. There's a quiet kind of wisdom that comes when you stop forcing outcomes. When you accept that some things are not yours to fix, your mind becomes lighter. You gain emotional freedom. You realize you don't need to control people to be at peace. You just need to control your reactions. When someone offends you, you can choose to stay calm. When a plan fails, you can choose to learn instead of complain. That's real strength, the kind that doesn't depend on circumstances. Focusing on what you can control also keeps you grounded during uncertain times. When everything around you feels unstable, your self-discipline and mindset become your anchors. You may not control the storm, but you can control your direction through it. That's how calm people stay centered, even when chaos surrounds them, because they've trained their minds to stay focused on what matters and to release everything else. Many people lose sleep over things they can't change, what someone said, what might happen, or what's already done. But worry never solved a problem, action does. And action only works when it's directed towards something within your control. The moment you stop fighting what's outside your hands, your mind becomes peaceful. You begin to see solutions more clearly because your thoughts are no longer clouded by frustration. There's freedom in surrendering what's not yours to carry. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you free up mental space for creativity, gratitude, and action. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop forcing and start flowing. That's when life begins to move more naturally because you're no longer resisting it. You're working with it. The key is to constantly remind yourself where your power lies. You can control your effort, your focus, your choices, your words, and your habits. You can't control how others behave, what they think, or how life unfolds. The more you practice focusing on your part, the more confident and peaceful you become. Your mind stops racing, your heart stops worrying, and you begin to live with balance and purpose. So whenever you feel overwhelmed, pause and ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is yes, take calm, thoughtful action. If the answer is no, let it go and protect your peace. Life becomes a lot easier when you stop chasing control over everything and start mastering control over yourself. That's the formula for a peaceful mind. Channel your energy where it can make a difference and release everything that can't. Because when you do that, problems stop feeling so heavy and life stops feeling like a fight. You start living with calm, strength, and focus. And that's how you begin to solve not just problems, but the stress that comes with them. Number 7, seek wisdom, not sympathy. Ask better questions. When life gets difficult, most people look for sympathy. They want someone to listen, agree, and tell them everything will be okay. It feels comforting for a while, but it doesn't fix anything. The truth is, sympathy might make you feel understood, but wisdom helps you rise above the problem. If you really want to grow, you have to stop asking for comfort and start asking for clarity. Wisdom gives you strength to move forward, while sympathy keeps you stuck where you are. Every challenge you face carries a lesson, but you'll only see it if you ask the right questions. Most people ask, "Why is this happening to me?" That question brings frustration and blame. But wise people ask, "What can I learn from this?" Or "How can I grow through this?" Those questions open your mind. They shift your focus from feeling helpless to taking responsibility. Wisdom begins where blame ends. When you seek sympathy, you're looking for someone else to validate your pain. But when you seek wisdom, you're looking for ways to transform it. One keeps you weak, the other makes you strong. It's easy to talk about your problems to everyone who will listen, but it takes real discipline to step back and reflect in silence. Wisdom often comes quietly. In those moments when you stop talking and start thinking deeply about what needs to change, not in others, but in yourself. Asking better questions is how you find better answers. If you keep asking small, emotional questions, you'll get small emotional answers. But when you ask questions rooted in growth, like, what should I do differently next time? Or what part of this situation can I control? You begin to see solutions that emotion alone could never reveal. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. Shallow questions produce confusion. Deep, thoughtful questions produce understanding. Many people want others to agree with their pain rather than challenge their perspective. They'll say, "You don't understand what I'm going through," or "No one has it as hard as I do." But wisdom doesn't comfort your ego. It confronts it. It helps you see that you are capable of handling more than you think. It shifts your focus from being a victim of circumstances to being a student of them. That's how you turn struggle into strength. Seeking wisdom also means surrounding yourself with people who tell you what you need to hear, not just what you want to hear. Wise people don't always comfort you. They guide you. They ask questions that make you think. They challenge you to see your role in the problem and your potential in the solution. Those conversations might not feel good at first, but they build character. They train your mind to think clearly, to take responsibility, and to find the lesson instead of the excuse. The problem with constantly seeking sympathy is that it reinforces helplessness. It teaches your mind that someone else has to fix things for you, or that you can't move forward until someone understands your pain. But the moment you start seeking wisdom, you take your power back. You stop waiting for understanding and you start creating understanding within yourself. Wisdom gives you direction. Sympathy gives you delay. Wisdom also teaches you to pause before reacting. When things go wrong, the emotional mind rushes to blame others or complain. The wise mind stays calm, observes, and asks, "What's the truth here?" Or "What's the next best step?" That kind of thinking saves time, energy, and peace. Instead of feeding your emotions, it feeds your clarity. And clarity is what helps you make decisions that actually move your life forward. You'll notice that the people who grow the fastest are not the D19. ones who complain the loudest, but the ones who reflect the deepest. They use every experience, good or bad, to learn something valuable. They ask questions like, how can I handle this better next time? Or what can I do differently to get a better result? That habit of reflection turns every setback into a lesson and every lesson into progress. When you focus on wisdom, not sympathy, your problems stop feeling like punishments and start feeling like opportunities. You stop fearing mistakes because you see them as teachers. You stop needing everyone to understand you because you understand yourself. And that kind of mindset makes you peaceful, confident, and self-reliant. Wisdom gives you tools to move through life calmly. It reminds you that pain is temporary, but growth is permanent. Sympathy fades once the conversation ends, but wisdom stays with you forever, guiding your thoughts, choices, and actions. So when life challenges you, don't rush to say, why me, or this isn't fair. Instead, take a breath and ask, what can I learn here? What is this situation trying to show me? What can I do next that will make me stronger than I was yesterday? Those questions will change everything because they shift your focus from what you can't control to what you can create. That's how a peaceful mind operates. It doesn't chase comfort. It searches for truth. It doesn't feed weakness. It builds understanding. And the more you train yourself to seek wisdom instead of sympathy, the calmer, smarter, and stronger you become, no matter what problem life brings your way. Number 8, take decisive action. Even if it's a small step forward, when faced with a problem, it's easy to get stuck in thinking. You can analyze, weigh, and debate endlessly, hoping the perfect solution will appear. But the truth is, perfect solutions rarely exist. Action, even a small step, always beats inaction. The moment you start moving, clarity follows. You discover what works, what doesn't, and where to adjust. Waiting for ideal conditions only prolongs frustration, stress, and doubt. Every problem requires movement, and movement creates momentum. Many people hesitate because they fear failure or making a mistake. They believe that if their first step isn't perfect, they'll ruin everything. That mindset traps them. The reality is that progress is built on small, consistent steps. Even a tiny action is more powerful than endless planning or worrying. Once you take one step, you see possibilities you never noticed before. You gain confidence and your mind becomes sharper. Action clears mental clutter. Decisive action doesn't mean rushing blindly. It means choosing a direction based on the information you have and committing to it. You take the first step, then adjust as needed. Every action teaches you something. Each experience, whether successful or challenging, reveals insights that waiting alone can't provide. Action is your laboratory. In it, you experiment, learn, and grow. Without it, your mind remains stuck in a loop of fear and indecision. Small steps are often enough to begin solving even the most complicated problems. When you feel overwhelmed, it helps to break things down into manageable pieces. Identify one thing you can do right now, no matter how minor it seems, and do it. That single action starts a chain reaction. Once you've done one thing, you can do the next. Each step builds confidence, momentum, and clarity. The key is to move. Stop waiting. Start somewhere. Indecision and procrastination often mask fear, uncertainty, or lack of confidence. Taking action, even imperfectly, combats all of these. You prove to yourself that you are capable, that challenges don't paralyze you, and that solutions emerge when you engage with the problem directly. Action breeds courage. Courage allows you to face bigger problems with the same mindset. Decisive action also prevents problems from escalating. When you ignore challenges, they tend to grow. Small issues left unchecked can become crises. By acting quickly, even in small ways, you prevent complications. You reduce stress, clarify your thinking, and maintain control over the situation. Moving forward keeps your mind calm, focused, and constructive. Another important aspect is commitment. Taking action means you commit to finding a solution, not just hoping one appears. Commitment removes indecision. When you commit to a step, your brain works differently. You begin noticing resources, opportunities, and ideas you would have missed if you had remained passive. Action primes your mind to solve problems more effectively than any amount of thought alone. Even when you're unsure, action reveals your next step. You might start with something as simple as making a phone call, sending an email, or writing down a plan. That one small effort opens doors. It creates feedback. You learn what works and what doesn't. Each step reduces the overwhelming feeling of a problem being too big. Action simplifies complexity because it converts ideas into reality. People often wait for motivation, inspiration, or perfect timing. The problem is, those conditions are unpredictable. Action creates motivation. The first step produces energy and momentum. Movement is the antidote to doubt. Even imperfect steps teach you more than waiting for the ideal moment ever could. Taking action consistently, no matter how small, eventually leads to breakthroughs. Decisive action also strengthens self-trust. When you act, you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling challenges. Each success, no matter how small, reinforces confidence. And even when mistakes happen, action teaches resilience. You learn how to adjust and improve. Waiting, in contrast, only reinforces fear and self-doubt. Ultimately, the power of action is simple. It transforms thinking into results. A peaceful mind doesn't linger in worry or speculation. It recognizes that the path forward is through doing. Every problem becomes manageable once you begin engaging with it directly. Small steps become bigger steps. Progress compounds. Solutions emerge naturally as long as you move. Taking decisive action doesn't require perfection, just commitment. Even the smallest step forward is a victory over fear and stagnation. It demonstrates that you are not a passive observer of life, but an active participant. Momentum, confidence, and clarity follow. The first step breaks inertia. The second step builds momentum. And soon you find that problems that seemed impossible are no longer obstacles but challenges you can navigate effectively. Action is the bridge between thought and solution. Without it, wisdom, insight, and understanding remain theoretical. With it, they become practical, powerful, and transformative. Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to resolution, peace of mind, and control over your circumstances. The formula is simple. Think clearly, act decisively, adjust when necessary, and continue moving forward. In this way, problems stop being burdens and start being opportunities to grow, learn, and succeed. Number 9, reflect on what the problem is teaching you. When you face a problem, it's easy to focus solely on the stress, the obstacles, and the pressure it brings. Most people get caught in frustration and fail to see the hidden lessons behind the challenge. But every problem carries insight if you are willing to pause and reflect. Reflection isn't about blaming yourself or others. It's about asking, what can I learn from this situation? What is this problem showing me about myself, my decisions, or the world around me? When you approach problems this way, they stop being a source of anxiety and start becoming a source of growth. The first thing to notice is your own behavior. Problems often reveal patterns in the way you think, react, and make choices. Maybe you tend to procrastinate, avoid uncomfortable conversations, or make assumptions without gathering facts. When a problem surfaces, it highlights these tendencies. Reflecting on your response allows you to understand yourself better. You see where you can improve, where you need more patience, and where your habits might be holding you back. This level of self-awareness is a gift. Without it, you risk repeating the same mistakes over and over. Problems also teach you about your priorities. Often, the challenges that bother us the most are connected to what we truly value. When a problem arises, consider why it matters so much. Is it about money, relationships, health, or personal growth? Reflection helps you understand what is important, not just in theory, but in practice. It forces you to confront your true priorities and align your actions with them. When you consistently reflect on what problems are teaching you, you start living intentionally instead of reacting impulsively. Another lesson problems teach is the importance of perspective. When you are caught up in a crisis, it can feel like the world is collapsing. But when you step back and reflect, you realize that most problems are temporary and solvable. Reflection helps you see the bigger picture and recognize that this moment, however difficult, is a small part of your journey. This mindset reduces anxiety. You start approaching challenges with calmness and clarity because you know every problem carries a lesson that will serve you in the long run. Reflection also helps you identify solutions you might have overlooked. Often, when we rush or panic, we miss simple answers that are right in front of us. Taking the time to think, observe, and learn from the situation opens your mind to creative solutions. You may discover a new approach, a better strategy, or a way to prevent similar problems in the future. Reflection transforms obstacles into opportunities. Instead of feeling stuck, you feel empowered because you are learning from every experience. Problems teach humility as well. They remind you that you don't have all the answers and that life doesn't always go as planned. Reflection allows you to acknowledge limitations without judgment. This honesty is crucial because it fosters growth. When you face challenges, take responsibility for what you can control and accept what you cannot. Reflection helps you distinguish between these areas, making your actions more effective and your energy more focused. Every problem also teaches patience and persistence. Solutions rarely appear instantly. Some challenges require careful thought, repeated effort, and time to resolve. Reflecting on what the problem is teaching you helps you cultivate patience. Now, you begin to understand that progress is often incremental and that every attempt, even if imperfect, moves you forward. This awareness reduces frustration and keeps you moving steadily toward resolution. Reflection deepens motivation. By observing your reactions, thoughts, and feelings during a problem, you develop greater self-control. You learn how to manage stress, regulate emotions, and interact with others more effectively. Problems often involve other people, and reflecting on the situation helps you see dynamics you might otherwise miss. You notice your own triggers, the motivations of others, and how to navigate conflicts with more skill and calmness. Another lesson is the value of adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and problems remind you that rigidity doesn't serve you. Reflection shows you where you need to adjust your thinking, your approach, or your strategies. By seeing problems as teachers rather than obstacles, you develop flexibility and resilience. You start to anticipate challenges and prepare yourself mentally and emotionally to handle them more effectively. Finally, problems teach gratitude when viewed through reflection. They remind you of the times when life is smooth, when decisions went well, and when support was available. By reflecting, you gain perspective and appreciation for the lessons learned, the strengths developed, and the growth achieved. Gratitude reduces anxiety, increases satisfaction, and reinforces the mindset that every problem has value. Even if it's hard in the moment, reflection transforms the way you approach life. It shifts your focus from fear and frustration to curiosity and learning. Every problem becomes a classroom, every challenge a lesson, and every setback an opportunity to grow stronger and wiser. By consistently asking what each problem is teaching you, you create a mindset of growth, resilience, and insight. You begin to see life not as a series of obstacles, but as a series of lessons that prepare you to handle anything with wisdom, composure, and confidence. Through reflection, you develop mental clarity and emotional stability. You learn that problems are not permanent roadblocks, but temporary situations designed to refine your thinking and strengthen your character. You discover that the more attentively you reflect on your experiences, the better equipped you become to solve future problems efficiently. Reflection becomes a tool for self-mastery, a guide that ensures each challenge leaves you stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. In the end, every problem teaches something valuable if you are willing to look, think, and learn. Reflection transforms difficulties into opportunities for insight, growth, and empowerment. It equips you with the knowledge, patience, and perspective needed to navigate life with calm confidence and a peaceful mind. The problems you face today become the lessons that prepare you for tomorrow, turning challenges into stepping stones towards success and personal strength. Number 10, stay peaceful and patient. Every problem has a hidden solution. Problems have a way of testing patience. They push, they press, and they provoke a reaction from within. Many people react hastily when confronted with difficulty, allowing tension, frustration, or anger to take control. But staying peaceful is not a sign of weakness. It's the foundation of clear thinking and effective problem solving. When you remain calm, you are not overwhelmed by the emotions that a problem triggers. Instead, you create mental space to observe, analyze, and consider your options. Patience allows time for the hidden solution to reveal itself, and peace gives you the stability to act wisely when that moment arrives. Remember, every problem carries a hidden solution. When you stay peaceful and patient, you give yourself the clarity and strength to see it, to act wisely, and to grow through the challenge. Calmness and patience turn obstacles into opportunities, and with this mindset, no problem can hold you back.